Hello there.
Hey,
How are we doing?
good. How are you?
Doing well?
Thanks for willing to do this.
Yeah, of course.
So I can start from the beginning and kind of jump around in terms of your career so far.
Sure.
Are you originally from LA?
Yes, I am. Sorry, that's my dog. Yeah, I'm from Woodland Hills, California.
And did you want to pursue was your focus to pursue music first before acting?
Um, it fell in my lap first. I was just kind of doing it all at the same time. But yeah, my first professional gig in the arts was music.
How did you become involved with, or like what was your first kind of paid acting job?
My first paid acting job was a Red Bull web series called Exit Vine, and is
Oh,
about
okay.
a band, and I played the bass player in that band. So the musical ability helped in the casting of it, but it was also uh, it was just a show about a band.
I did actually listen to some of the recent interview that you did on with that person on Twitter that you said that Incubus was one of your main musical influences.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. They were kind of the band that I think what I said before was like I listen to a lot of video game music and music without lyrics, or just kind of stuff that like heavy music, uh, because I just didn't relate to lyrics yet. But then all of a sudden, Incubus just hit me at the right time. It was specifically the album Morning View. I caught myself humming one of the songs off that in middle school. I'm just like, I want to play guitar. And that's how it worked. They're still my favorite band. I like to watch them grow and change.
Were there other or which other like bigger musical acts influenced your sound?
John Mayer is a big one. Radiohead. I'm thinking in terms of like major influences, not really what I'm listening to. Motion City Soundtrack is another like top five. Lately, I've been listening to so much Coheed and Cambria. It's like crazy. The Beatles as well, obviously.
Yeah,
But I mean, like fundamentally, I mean, I, they're so great.
it's kind of old now, but that's that song Calvin and Hobbes.
Oh my God.
That was really cool.
Wow. Yeah, that I love that song. I've been wanting to go and I guess you saw my SoundCloud.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I've been wanting to go back and redo all those songs with like the skills that I've acquired now. But that song's like a gut punch to me. I wrote it for a friend. But I asked on Twitter at the time, what should I call this song? And they just said Calvin and Hobbes, and I was like, that's oddly fitting.
oh.
So I, I let a Twitter follower decide the title of that.
And I think some of your early songs too kind of has a early like first album Maroon 5 kind of sound.
Wow, that's a great compliment because that album is so good.
Yeah,
Songs about Jane.
yeah,
God, if you could, I wish you could just go back in time and say stop, stop right there.
right.
I mean, I'm not trying to be a hater, but I just love that album so much, and I wish they stayed in that vein.
Is there like a funny story about how you met Griffin?
Yeah, we met essentially on a double date. My ex and her roommate,
Oh,
and yeah, we got along. We got along, but then a few years later, I hit him up because I was like, I'm trying to build a vocal booth. Do you have any tips? And he was like, well, do you want to get lunch? And I said, sure. And then we just hit it off as great friends, and we really admired each other's musical tendencies. Really, he's the easiest person I've ever collaborated with musically.
do you guys have a particular process in terms of how you guys come up with material?
Honestly, we sit down and just start. The way it usually goes, it's different from time to time, but I'd say like 75% of the time it's just he'll start playing some chord progression and I'll start playing some lead part over it, and he'll start singing random words and I will follow. And I usually grab on with a harmony, and it will go for maybe a few minutes until one of us goes like, stop, we need to record that. And then we record the idea, and the lyrics could be anything. Sometimes sometimes, I mean, our song Anything was just, that was the first song we ever wrote together. And he came over to, it was like a few years ago at my old apartment, and I was going to the bathroom, and as I'm walking down the hall, he just started singing Anything That You Asked For Wouldn't Be So Bad. And I was like, what do you do? Hold on to that. Just keep, it was just the first thing that came up, thing that he came up with. And same with Cardigan. It was, he just started saying cardigan. I was like, did you say cardigan? He's like, yeah. I was like, I want to write a song about a piece of clothing that, you know, goes back and forth in a relationship. And so it's sort of just like throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. We have a lot of material, like the voice memos are overwhelming of how many songs that are legitimately, I think legitimately have like huge potential. They come out of thin air when we're jamming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And do you guys have the same like musical taste then too?
Somewhat. We meet somewhere in the middle. You know, he'd tell you the same thing. He likes like a 90s grunge vibe. Is sort of his go-to. I'm a little bit more, I like to listen to, or I'm more technical of a guy, I suppose, you know. I still think less is more.
Well, some of your guys' songs to me, I think it's cool. And they also have a like early lighter Weezer sound.
Yeah. We like to tell people that, you know, our sound falls somewhere between Weezer and the Beatles. You know, I mean, I know that's such a wide margin, but it's like, we really do like to sort of harken back to the sweet lush sounds of the 60s and the oohs and ahs and stuff. And you know, Weezer took that in their own lane as well. So that's definitely what we were going for at the time. Yeah. So we wanted to make, you know, songs that were really universal and digestible. You know, we wanted the songs to really have something for everybody. If you're really into lyrics, the lyrics will tell you a story. We want to have catchy earworms, you know, in these songs, just like little tiny gifts for the music nerds in them too, like just stuff that would fly over under the radar of your casual listener. But, you know, just like we like there to be something for everybody, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I know that you've recorded with Christina V too, some cool stuff.
Yeah. We've been writing songs for a video game called Arc Knights. We did some stuff for PUBG Mobile. She's another really great collaborator, such a powerhouse of a vocalist. And it's like our sessions, and she's just in the booth singing, and I'm just like this. Mm-hmm. That was really good. So was that. We get handed a track, and we write the lyrics and the melody and stuff like that. So yeah, very fun.
And so going back to acting, with the first like major project you would have been part of would be Betas.
Yeah, I suppose so. I think that's what got me into the union. I shaved my head, and then I looked the part for that guy. It was like a Russian Zuckerberg type. Mm-hmm. And I was geeking out over that because the director of that episode was Alex Winter, who is Bill of Bill and Ted. Yeah. And I love them so much. I mean, I love that movie so much. I've been Bill and Ted for Halloween like 3 times. So I mean, not me and a friend. I wasn't both of them.
Yeah. And I'm sure because the character that you played on the Fosters and Modern Family, those are both fun.
Yeah. Modern Family, I think, is my favorite thing I've done. It's just like one scene, and you know, they're talking about what your pronouns are, and it flips to me, and I'm just like this bird man, and I'm just like, oh, I'm Bob. I'm not here to bust chops. Call me Bob. Which is just so indicative. It's just so me. It's like, I just want everybody to have a good time. Yeah. And the Fosters one was interesting because I was playing like a PewDiePie type person who says hurtful things without knowing the weight of their words.
Yeah.
You know, and part of me was like, when I got the audition, I was like, it pains me to say I know what to do with this, because, you know, I know people are going to go into the audition and like say these words like really hatefully, you know,
Mhm.
but it's like, not that I subscribe to, you know, any of it, or like there's nothing that I would do or say, but like I know that this character is, they're having fun while they're saying it, but they just don't know what they're saying is hateful. So that's what kind of made it authentic, or at least in my eyes, that's how I approached it. I've been cast as bad guys a few times.
Yeah. Well, I was just about to say too that I would think that playing Jasper in Criminal Minds would be your darkest role for anything so far.
Yeah, that was definitely the darkest, because he Jasper was straight up a cult member and a white supremacist.
Was it difficult to get into that kind of headspace?
Yeah, you know, put yourself in the headspace of just like a, I mean, not like a hateful person, but just a brainwashed person,
Yeah.
you know, who they think that what they're doing is righteous. Kind of the same deal as the Foster's bit, is like, this guy doesn't know he's an asshole.
Mhm.
It brings a bit of humanity to a character, to make sure you're thinking from the perspective that like they think they're the good guy. I mean, you know, maybe that's cliche to say, but yeah.
And have you gotten the opportunity to audition for other like major TV shows and film?
Certainly, yeah. Excuse me. I haven't been focusing on camera or theatrical stuff for a long time now. Since the pandemic, I just kind of pivoted to voiceover really hard, in a way that's starting to pay off, and I'm really happy about it. You know, I may pursue on-camera acting again in the near future, but we'll see.
So was pursuing voiceover always something that you wanted to do?
Definitely, yeah. It was just something that I didn't know where to begin, but you know, I was always around, since, you know, I'm a musician, and I'm always around microphones, so I taught myself how to record myself. And then, you know, they're like, and back in like 2014, I think I booked my first voiceover role, which was for like a phone game that was like a Diablo clone, and I played the male hero in it. So I was doing like just like,
Yeah.
and little like catchphrases. I forget some of them; they're goofy, but that was on, you know, it's one of those websites that you pay to be a member, and then you can just audition for little tiny projects. And I did a number of like point and click adventure games where I just had like these fat scripts, where my character, or usually I would play like a snarky character that just have something snarky to say about every object or person in the room. But that's what I was doing without really knowing how to take it to the next step, you know. So but this year is well, it was right before the pandemic, like right before lockdown is when I got my demo produced, which is really what you got to do. You got to have a good demo produced, got things moving in the right direction. You have to, you know, take a risk, a financial risk, and make a concerted effort. But if you're good, and you're persistent, it'll pay off. I wanted to take voice acting more seriously, just because I really enjoy it as a medium. I've always loved it, and I always saw myself doing it. I just didn't know how. And then I thought, like, why am I waiting for this to fall in my lap? I'm gonna go get it.
And so with the first dubbing experience you had beyond Beastars?
Beastars was my second one, but I think they that studio tried me out on it was I think it was an Argentinian show about soccer,
Oh, okay.
a live action one, but Beastars was the next dubbing experience.
And you get the role of Zoe first or Voss?
Chronologically, Voss was just like, hey, be this guy, like, and okay. It's like, can you do a little high pitched voice? I was like, sure, and that was that. But yeah, they called me in to do Zoe. I have an attachment to both of them because they were my first anime, you know, technically. You know, there's not a lot going on there. I don't have a lot of screen time or anything, but
Yeah.
some of the moments that I have with Zoe cracked me up. Like something I didn't even notice that I did when it came out. my friend Faye was like, wait, you're the goat?
Yeah.
She's like, I love that when Louis was choking you, you were like making goat noises. And I didn't even realize I was doing that. I was like,
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was the first time, or one of the first times, seeing my voice come out of a cartoon, and that's surreal to me. I love that feeling.
Were you a fan of anime in general?
Yeah, in general, yeah. I haven't watched a lot of the popular ones, but I grew up insanely obsessed with Pokemon, like Digimon, and then Dragon Ball Z, and graduating to like the Adult Swim stuff like Cowboy Bebop and Fooly Cooly. Then just good stuff here and there. I've always really enjoyed the medium.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny. I talked to my mom about it, dubbing anime more regularly now, and she's like, wow, that's so interesting. Anime, I'd never really, it's getting popular now, isn't it? I've never heard of it before. We were watching Villainess.
Yeah.
And my mom goes, wow, we just watched you in my first anime. And I was like, Mom, Pokemon is an anime. She's like, it is? I was like, yes. Yes, it is.
I'm sure that had to be a lot of fun stepping into Sora or Rufus. Yeah.
Very. Yeah. The duality of his character, especially in his introductory episode, was like the most screen time I've ever had in something to date.
Mm-hmm.
Very fun. And to be able to just like use my normal voice was interesting as well, because it's like, again, this is coming from somebody who's starting out, but I'm not used to hearing my voice come out of characters yet.
And could you personally relate to him at all in any way?
A good question. There's something about the detachment of him, the detachment and the attachment, where he's just like, he didn't even have a name, right? Or he didn't. He's nameless, basically. It's like he had a name, but he was like, whatever the job is, whatever the gig is. But then when he gets attached to Katarina, and I find myself that way a lot. When I can get fixated on something, and when I do, I really get fixated on it. But beyond that, I grew up in a lot of ways, especially before finding music. I did feel a sense of detachment from the world, and it was just kind of like rolling with the punches. What do you want me to do? But then it was a relief to find my outlet. So I guess does that make sense?
Yeah.
I relate to the duality of his mindset, I suppose.
Right. Yeah. So how did you become involved with Asbel and Fire Emblem?
That was at Cup of Tea Productions. I was at the Fire Emblem Three Houses wrap party, just as a guest. One day they invited me to audition, and most of my characters are like high-pitched young kids, but I guess that's fine. But yeah, I love that, because being in a Nintendo anything, it's just like, holy crap.
Right.
really major for me.
And is it easier to relate to Asbel instead of Sora?
Well, it's with Asbel, I mean, because it's for the mobile game, it's like you only really have his I only recorded so many lines, right? But
yeah,
from his standpoint, was just sort of like, he's 15, I think, and when you're 15 and you believe in a cause, it's just like there's nothing else. There's so much force behind what you believe in when you're 15, and he's just like, I'm gonna fight for Thracia. It's just like everything is on that, and it's this sort of blind adolescent courageousness.
Yeah.
That I pulled from in that.
And since he's obviously voiced by a woman in Japanese, was your approach to that just like, were you directed to just come up with your own idea completely?
Yeah. I mean, when I was auditioning for it, I didn't know what it was for. I can't remember if I saw a picture of the character, but it was just young 15-year-old, you know, I forget what the breakdown was for it. I didn't know it was Fire Emblem. So I just, you know, I auditioned for Asbel with a slew of other characters too. Like some were more gruff in the voice and some were more middle toned. But that was just the one that they liked.
And just generally with the voiceover too, has there been a case where you've had to alter your voice significantly so far for anything?
Yeah. Yeah. There's one that I can't talk about yet.
Okay.
That I can't wait for. But you know, it's always really fun to get to do creature voices, or, you know, again, even that first gig I ever did, people like were saying I sounded like Buzz Lightyear or something, because I forget what it's called, but just like a phrase to get you into a voice. But I was like, make way. That was my first gig. And it was all of that. I like to explore the range in my voice. I'm still figuring it out. My focus is just, other than those things, it's just like what I can control, which is music, you know. But Griffin and I are going to consistently put out music.
And I know, of course, your career is still starting out, but usually my final question with interviews is asking, what do you want your legacy to be?
A major thing is I would hope people embrace vulnerability, you know, and learn that, you know, to find the bravery to look inward and find that there is strength in vulnerability. I like to play characters that are wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I like to write songs from the perspective of someone who's wrong. You know, we've got a song that's almost done. It's been in the hard drive for a while. Maybe it'll be one of the next ones we put out, but it's about why me, woe is me. Like, how come, why won't it work out for me? But that person is obviously not correcting some of the obvious things that he or she should do to break out of the cycle. So it's this person saying, oh, why me? But then the chorus says something like, don't tell me what I don't want to hear, you know, because I'm not about that. Stubbornly trudging along, carrying a weight that you don't need to. If you could sort of like look inward and be like, oh, maybe I could change a few things, or maybe I could be better at that. I think people are, or a trap that people can fall into is needing to be right. Being okay with being wrong is fine, because that's temporary. And then you can fix it, and then you're better than you were yesterday. So I don't know. Ego, stuff like that. That's a message that I like to put across.
Well, thanks for willing to do this.
Yeah, I appreciate you doing a deep dive on some of the stuff I wouldn't have expected you to ask about.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Cool. Thanks, man, and best of luck to you.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.